Hi guys, Arundel here and welcome to the workshop. Today, upon viewer request, I'm going to talk about the bottles and bottle cages and stuff related to them that I use on my bikes. So, bottle wise, I use basically three types of bottles. Most lately, these Elite Fly bottles, which are brilliant, super light, very easy to drink from, very easy to clean, last a pretty long time, and they appear quite fragile at first, but in fact are sturdier than you would think. There's also a mountain bike version now with the cover, which I've ordered as well, and these will come handy in my marathon races next year. Then what I've previously used, I still have a couple of them, are these Camelback podium bottles. These are a bit heavier, have a bit of a sturdier lower portion on the bottle itself. The good thing about this one is that you can buy the top or the nozzle separately, so all the different parts, which you can't with the Elite. And the downside is that it's a bit more complicated, so the mug has many more surfaces to stick onto. Also, sometimes if you open, or rather forget to open your nozzle pre-ride, then it can be quite hard to open it up when you're holding it in your hand, so you don't just pop it up with your mouth like on the Elite. But anyway, two very good bottles nevertheless. And the main thing about what I've been asking, what I've been asked about, are the bottle cages. And these, I think, are a couple of the most overlooked items on your bike. Because there are some very, very fancy ones, some very basic ones, but they do, particularly in the summer, a very vital job of keeping your bottle actually attached to your bike. And sometimes when I do road races, it's quite frustrating that so many people are losing their bottles. It's very bad for them, of course, because if there are no feed zones nearby, they're going to get in trouble, and they're causing or creating danger for everyone else in the bunch. So it's very important to have a secure fit between your bottle and your cage. And even though the diameters are standardized, I feel that there are a couple of differences in how each cage holds each individual type of bottle. So I find that the Elite bottle is a bit more secure in those squeeze type bottle cages, just because it's so pliable and it deforms and has a very tight grip, whereas the Camelback is more secure in sort of slide in cages where the bottle isn't squeezed as much. So I use a couple of types on my bikes, and not for any particular reason other than to try them out and be able to comment on the experiences. So my favorite one is this Arundel mandible bottle cage. It's an extremely secure hold on all types of bottles, sometimes a bit hard to get out, but nothing too serious, still pretty easy to do with one hand. It's not really possible to pull the bottle to the side, which might be an issue in small frames. But other than that, it's a really high quality premium bottle cage that I can really relate. Actually, it has a very fancy construction because the carbon itself is hollow and has a foam core, just like a disc wheel, for example. It's not super light, but I think saving grams on a bottle cage is really not that much of a good idea. You really want a sturdy and reliable option. So this definitely is one, although it's on the expensive side. You can also see I have these quick releases on there, which are supplied by Trek to their Boon frame sets. They're a good idea if you are training on your cross bike, because you can just pop the cages right off mid-ride and, for example, leave your bottle with the cage besides the track, but if you're not doing this very specific thing, then they're not really a good idea because they're quite wobbly and they hold on securely, but that wobble creates a bit of a noise, and I don't know, I don't like stuff wobbling on a bike. So anyway, on to a more budget oriented option which I really like and rate. This is the Elite Custom Race, so not a new model per se, it's been around for a couple of years. It's just a basic plastic bottle cage, but it just shows that you don't need fancy materials to create a reliable fit. So the neat thing about this one is that the cage here actually isn't connected by the plastic, only by this rubber part which kind of preloads these blades, and that creates for a very secure hold. I wouldn't say it's as secure as the Arundel mandible, but it's pretty close. So yeah, this is a good all-round option. Again, you can only pull the bottle upwards, so not good in mountain bike frames and small road frames. Then for time trials, of course you have the Elite Chrono Aero bottle, which is kind of ubiquitous among time trialists. I don't use this in training ever because it's highly impractical, and the opening is too small to actually be able to mix your drink in this one, so you have to take a standard bottle anyway, prepare your drink and then pour it into this one. So yeah, not very practical. Also it's black, so you can't really see if it's clean or not, so that's a downside. But from the aero perspective, of course, it's probably the fastest one, or surely the fastest one, particularly if you take a very narrow section frame down tube like this Speed Concept for example, so it's a perfect fit on something like that. Although more modern aero bikes or time trial bikes use kind of bigger down tubes with an opening in there or a concave shape to house a standard bottle to be just as aerodynamic. So this might or might not work. Another thing that many people have been asking about is this little cage adapter. This is a Wolf-Tooth B-Rad. It allows you to position change your position of your bottle relative to your bottle bosses on the frame, and I use this to put, again on a time trial bike, to put it completely down to the bottom bracket. This should be more aerodynamic in theory. If it really is, or by how much, I can't really tell because I haven't been to the wind tunnel yet, but I might. If all goes well, I'm going there on February, so I might have an answer for this by then. Or if this actually is faster with the bare frame or the bottle on, we'll see. So these were the cages that I use here, and I have one more on my road bike, which arguably gets used most often. And these are the MV bottle cages. They have a very different design, so you can pull the bottle out sideways or up, and actually the hold isn't as strong, particularly with the Elite bottles. It's very fine with the camelbacks, but just to be sure, I put some grip tape on before a cobbled race and never had a problem. So I just left it on there, and it's worked fine so far. Although if I had to choose again, I would go for the Arundel bottles, but I have these. There's no problem, or sorry, the Arundel cages, but I have these, so no problem. And then finally, on my mountain bike, I use Arundel cages as well, but these are a different type. So these are called the side loader and the other side loader. So they're left-right specific, depending on where you want to install them and which side you want them to pour the bottle out. And yeah, these are an ideal fit for spaces which are quite tight, so this epic full suspension frame or perhaps smaller road bike frame. And these don't look very secure at all, but just to be sure, I put some grip tape in there again. That's a neat trick to keep your bottles more safe. And I had never experienced any launches even on the roughest trails, so yeah, that's definitely a good thing in marathon racing. And I can only recommend these because they just do the job, even if they don't look very secure at all. They in fact are, with both types of cages, or sorry, bottles, both the Elite and the Camelback. Okay, so this was my little review of the hydration options that I run on my bikes. This one is arguably my favorite, but it will depend on which bike and application are you choosing a hydration system for. Okay, so if you want to know more about other aspects of the bikes that I run for different disciplines, then don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's all for the day. Thanks for watching and see you next time.